discouraging words that were spoken to you by someone some time ago. Or suddenly you remember what a friend or a colleague said that, oh, do you think you can even achieve this? Stop deceiving yourself. You're just building your castles in the air. And suddenly those words come back strongly and you're dissuaded from pursuing that which you desire to pursue. So if you desire to achieve your goals in the coming year, one of the things that you must build capacity to do is to control your words. Sometimes for some of us who are people of faith, you even pray about those issues. You pray about them, or you say the positive things you want to say about them. But suddenly when you step out, something happens and you start saying negative things about that goal or that vision. Believe you me, anything you speak negatively about, negativity sets into it and you will hardly achieve that thing. So in this coming year, I know you have written down a lot of things. In fact, you might have noted down a lot of things in your vision boards. But the truth is, there are so many things that will try to discourage you. But you must be careful what you utter. You must be careful the words you check out. Everyone that has become anything great in life, one of the key things they will tell you is that right from a long time before they even saw themselves achieving this thing, they uttered it. People who became president always say, I will be president. People who became top business tycoons always say that I can do this or I will do this. So one capacity you must build to smash your goals in this coming year is your ability to control your words. I hope you're with me. Are we together to this point? And I will jump into the second thing that is important that we build capacity to do. And the second thing is control your appetite. Control your appetite. Control your appetite. Like the French will say, bon appetit. When a meal is served, usually it's time to eat. And I know somebody's asking, why are you talking about appetite when we are talking about goals? Friends, appetite is not just for food. There are several other things that revolve in our lives that are a product of appetites. So many things. And when we say appetite, what do we mean? Appetite simply means a strong desire or a longing for something. Appetite is a strong desire a person has or a longing for something. A person can have a strong desire and appetite for movies. Someone else can have a strong desire for a particular sport. Someone can have a strong appetite for betting. Someone else might have a strong appetite for watching soccer. Another person may have a strong appetite for fitness, staying fit. Another person may have a very strong appetite for the reading, for a sport, for a game, and so many other things. Appetite is not just about food. Appetite is not just about food. And Tom Ziegler said, what you feed on determines your appetite. What you feed on determines your appetite. So also Ida B. Well says, the appetite grows on what it feeds on. Appetite grows on what it feeds on. For many of us, there's an appetite, there's a strong appetite you have that is the main reason why you've been unable to achieve your goals and your visions. Let me say it again. For many of us, the appetite you have is the main reason why you've been unable to achieve your vision and your goals. Let me give this example. For each one of us, for every one of us, every day we wake up, we have 24 hours to live, to work, to study, to learn, to develop a skill. Each one of us has 24 hours. Let's assume that 24 hours means is translated, or let's say this 24 hours each of us has is translated or is changed into $24,000. $1,000 for each hour we have for each day. And like we know, time is the currency for life. Time is the currency each and everyone has for life. And is a currency that we have been given to use, to maximize, or to we waste them. You either use them by maximizing them or you waste it. Are we together? You have 24 hours and you step into the shopping mall of life. You step into the shopping mall of life, and according to your budget, you budgeted to spend this 24 hours, you're spending this 24 hours, you're spending 10 of this $24,000, you're spending 10 on groceries, you're spending 5 on clothing, you're spending another 5 on toiletries and other basic things you need. Well, you spend the 4 on leisure. But you step into the grocery store or the shopping mall rather, and while you plan to buy groceries for $10,000, as you were buying your groceries, you bought all you needed and you saw one beautiful pastries which you did not budget for. And you were told that buying these pastries is quite expensive. And if you want to buy these pastries, you're going to spend $12,000. Remember, these dollars is this hours of our day that we're using this analogy. Remember, you had a budget, but as you stepped into the day, you saw something that your appetite desires. You saw that pastries, whether it's a cake or a chocolate or something so nice that you felt you desire so much, your appetite longs for it. But remember, you did not budget. You went and you bought it. Do you know that for everything you buy, like we have learned in economics, is opportunity cost? You have to forgo other things. You cannot buy all you wanted to buy with your $24,000 if you bought something that is out of your budget. Why? Because there was an appetite that you needed or you wanted to satisfy. Let me bring it home. For many of us, you wake up this morning, and what you had in your budget and what you had in your goal was that you spend 10 hours, let's say you spend 6 hours studying, you spend this hours working, you spend this hours working, you budgeted everything. But suddenly you go online and maybe there's one particular comedian or skit maker or one celebrity you follow, and the person uploaded new videos and you hopped on their videos and you started watching, not realizing that as you're watching that video, you're forfeiting the other things that you're supposed to have purchased with this currency that you were given. Why? Because an appetite for watching those videos needed to be satisfied. For another person, you have a strong appetite for movies. Well, you're budgeted to use your time to develop your skill, to improve your work, to upskill, to learn something that is beneficial for your life and your destiny. But as you stepped in, you went up on Netflix and there is an appetite you needed to satisfy. As you're satisfying the appetite, you're foregoing the personal development you were supposed to do. And this is how it happens to us daily. Because we have appetite for something. For someone, your appetite developed into an addiction. an addiction that is disastrous and dangerous for your health, but yet it is an appetite and you could not control it. And suddenly you were forfeiting that which you should do for that which your appetite was leading you to do. And you wasted days, you wasted months. For many of us, it may be that you even bought a particular course. You wanted to learn, is it FX? You wanted to learn FX, you wanted to learn copywriting, you wanted to learn some things. You bought the course, you paid the money, you paid the tutors, you bought the materials, you have all the stuff. Or in fact, you even bought an internet plan simply because you wanted to upskill and improve yourself. But there's an appetite that dragged you away from these goals you're supposed to achieve. So if you must achieve your goals, one thing you must control is your appetite. This appetite come in different forms for different people. But if these appetites are not controlled, they can lure you into doing what you ought not to do. And at the end, you fail to achieve what your goals and what your visions are. As I'm speaking now, can you just take a few seconds to reminisce on your goals, some of the goals you had, and look at it? What was the reason why you didn't achieve the goal? My dear friend, it will most likely be because of an appetite. And for somebody else, the appetite that dissuaded you from achieving your goal was an appetite that took away your funds. So when you needed to start up that business, there was no sufficient money or capital to do it. Why? Because you have expended the finance, the money you needed to reach that goals on an appetite that you should have shelved in a corner. So if you desire to smash your goals in 2024, one thing you must do is to control your appetite. And one thing I want you to do is just take a general overview of your life. What are the appetites that are stealing your time? What are the appetites that are eating up this currency of life? Like we said earlier, time is the currency of life with which we use to purchase things as we journey in life. What are they? If you can control them, my friend, you will achieve those goals. And finally, on the things you must master, the things you must build capacity on to achieve your goals. I know there are many things, several other things, but I want to focus on these three, like I said earlier. And the final one is also about appetite. But what is this final one? Channel your appetite appropriately. Channel your appetite appropriately. Channel your appetite appropriately. Channel them. What does it mean to channel? To channel means to harness all the resources, to harness and to focus them in achieving something definite and something specific. Channel your appetite appropriately. For many of us, the main reason, the appetite is a strong passion you have, is a strong desire you have, is a strong zeal you have. But if you can simply convert them positively, you can channel them positively, they will aid you in achieving your vision. For example, there's someone who has a strong appetite for watching movies, for watching videos on YouTube. And fortunately or unfortunately, most times the videos you watch, they are not videos that really help you in achieving your goals. They are just videos you watch for fun or for pleasure. Do you know that you can convert that strong appetite for watching movies or videos or those things that may not aid your progress? Do you know that you can channel that appetite into achieving your goal? Assuming, for example, you set out that in 2024, one of the things I'm going to learn, I want to learn about intellectual property. I want to learn about AI. And every time you go online, there are so many content that are trying to take your attention. Do you know that Instead of watching those movies or other things, you can be watching videos about AI, videos about that particular area that you have proposed or you have set out as a goal to improve yourself. In fact, do you know that instead of that destructive habit that you want to stop, you realize that you're not happy about your health, your body, you're trying to, is it lose weight or something? For somebody, your goal may be to lose weight. And you have realized that the main reason is that there's this particular pastries you love so much. Do you know that instead of consuming those pastries, you can channel those energies to taking a particular kind of fruit? Do you know for someone, it might be that there's a particular hobby that is destructive to you, and you know that it has consumed a lot of your funds, a lot of your resources. You can channel that energy, you can channel that appetite to focusing on improving yourself in the areas that you have set out to achieve. My dear friends, the truth of the matter is, for all of us, I don't just want to say most of us, for most of us, let me not make generalizations, but for most of us, it is not that you're unable to achieve. The thing is that you have constantly been distracted by that which could have aided you in achieving those goals. Can you take some time, evaluate what are these appetites that have not been helping me to achieve my goals? What focusing on that is not helping me to achieve my goals? What are those things that I have built over time and deliberately or unconsciously they have kept me on the same spot year in, year out? Can you work on them? Can you take time to evaluate your appetites? Can you just give some time, evaluate them, and see where you're getting it wrong? My friend, I tell you, he who cannot control his appetite cannot lead his or her generation. If you cannot control your appetite, you cannot control your life and you cannot control your destiny. Can we control these appetites and channel them appropriately? If we will do that, by the end of the year 2024, we'll be checking all the boxes. Why? Because instead of wasting time, we have actually invested time. So I'll stop here and allow the other speakers to speak, but I'll be ready for your questions at the end of the session. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jude.
Thank
Back to
you.
you.
Thank you so much. Can we appreciate Henry Ligari for this insightful, power-packed, and informative presentation. This is very, very, very overwhelming for me because, yes, his son I've known for many years, but listening to Henry every time brings me new insights. And I really appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for giving us this wisdom. And the essence of the goal setting webinar is not just to help you write down things you want to achieve in the next year and then come back another year. It's also to help you build your life for years to come. So you could set short-term or long-term goals. You can have a life goal as long as you live. This is my goal in life. So this is one of such great wisdom as has been shared by my brother here that can help you through life. He talked about controlling your appetite, controlling your expressions, that is speech. And so these are very, very key things with which if you imbibe, you can achieve anything. And I can relate personally to most of what he has said. Yes, personally, I could have achieved two times what I have achieved this year if there were not certain distractions. So I have to admit on that aspect. And I hope that you all have learned and you are taking your notes appropriately. So at the beginning of this session, Manasseh was unable to join us because of technical hitches. However, he's here now. You're welcome. Kindly introduce yourself and then go into your talk. You have the next 30 minutes to lead us. Thank you. And then we'll come back after Manasseh's presentation for the questions.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
All right. Just give me a moment. I will on the video on, but I'll begin my class this way. I'm glad to be here, and I can see many people I know here. And listening to Henry it's always incredible. Jude and Henry are both my brothers, and I know the value that these people talk about. Whatever they talk about, is coming from things that they practice, And I'm glad to be here again. Jude, thank you for having me back. We've been doing this for, I think this is the fourth or fifth year. And the fact that we've been doing this every year, it shows the level of consistency and value that we bring to the table. So to kick off this session, I'll begin first of all by reviewing what I did last year. I think last year was really fun for me because it was an entirely new concept I introduced. Even though usually Jude takes the session of how to set goals, and usually I just give tips to complement what you have said. So from what we did last time I was here, let me just give you a very fast review so that I can dive into what I want us to talk about today. I think I'm set. So basically what we spoke about the other time was how to set your goals. And I gave you a model which involves, first of all, taking an inventory of where you would like your life to be in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. Because I believe that for each year to be effective, you have to take into consideration the long-time goal instead of just the short-time goal. Because tell you the truth, most of the times when people are planning for the new year, usually the planning involves a lot of, you choke the year with too many things. But one strategic way to take your goal setting is, first of all, to ask yourself, where is it that you want to be in the next 10 years? What is your long-term vision and plan? And then you can ask yourself, okay, this coming year, where does it fit into the long plan? Oh Lord. Where does it fit into the long plan? That will be an effective way to know where the year is setting. So for instance, now, you have a plan of achieving a professional goal in the next 10 years. You can always ask yourself, okay, what stage of progress am I in the long time goal? And then you can really you can really make plans for your new year. So on a start, you can say, okay, if I want to, for instance now, let's say in the next 5 years, I'm a professional athlete and I want to run the marathon. One of the best ways I can fit the next year is, okay, you can start by saying, okay, maybe I'll start with 5 minutes of jogging every day if it's a 5-year goal. Or, usually you can access your skill level and place where you are in your growth level. You can do the demarcation. So for instance now, most of the people here, Henry and Jude, all of us are lawyers. If they have a plan of becoming a son, so what is the requirement and where am I going to begin with? So the first concept I want to talk about is fitting into your entire vision, fitting the year where it fits into. I don't understand whether I'm communicating or whether it's clear. If you have a long-time vision, you can always ask yourself, where am I now? And then instead of trying to choke everything into the next year, let's say 2024, you try to strategically point out, okay, what stage of my progress am I in? And then you plan your year according to that. And I also spoke about productive input, which is one of the things I will emphasize again this year. It is the daily things you do that affects your productivity entirely. So for instance, and there are people that one of the things that affects their productivity is when they converse and they talk with people or clients daily. But there are some people, due to their nature of work, one of the best ways, one of the daily practice that increase their productivity is probably meditation or continuous learning. Someone like myself who is into coaching, who is into consulting, one of the best things I can do daily that can contribute to my overall productivity is study, reflecting, journaling, and writing. As simple as this is, it affects my entire productivity. But I figured it out. And sometimes discovering your productive input might come from understanding who you are as a person. There's this distraction that when we see someone doing something, we want to jump into that train. But each of us are different and each of us are particular individuals in our own self. So sometimes understanding your productive input, that is the daily habit you do that affects your productivity, might come from simply understanding, okay, for instance, now I'm more of an introvert. I'm more introverted in my personality, and conversing with people drains energy from me. And if I try to keep up with people that one of the best ways that they communicate, we might even be doing the same thing, sales. But one of the ways I leverage the same advantage someone has that is more comfortable with talking with people might be my own is just through writing, because I'm channeling my energy in the best way I can, while another person might be going out and talking to people and they don't feel drained. One of the things I want to talk about this year, particularly, that's just the review for last year. One of the things, because to tell you the truth, if you just say you go into 2024 and treat 2024 as isolated, if you want to treat it isolated, most at times you just be wasting energy. But one of the things I said, contributing to your year in such a way that it contributes to your long-term goal, so that the year is not wasted. The year is an investment. See 2024 as an investment to your long-term vision. It is not in and of itself. That whatever you're going to do in 2024 is contributing to the long-term vision. Without that long-term vision, most of the times our goals will be shallow, our goals will just be wasted effort. You can do a lot of things that will not contribute beyond 2024. But one of the mindset you must go into is that I'm going to invest. 2024 is going to be an investment. It's not just going to be a year where I'm pursuing outcomes. You might get temporary outcomes, but one of the ways you can truly invest your life and your year is that, okay, how does this contribute to my long-term vision? It is that vision that gives you the discipline to, work on 2024 the way you should. But when 2024 is the end by itself, most of the times we will not even take our goals seriously. And when we are talking about events like this, I prefer to talk, because I know we are all humans, we can talk about methods on how to set goals, but I don't think those ones are available. What I want to talk to you today is about deep work. Deep work. And the entire concept of deep work is that, because to tell you the truth, most of us, we set goals, but most people do not achieve it. But even people that achieve it, they do not make much progress. For instance, now, if you have a target of writing a book in 2024, the logical step is to set time to write every day, or maybe you make a schedule. But without deep work, most of the times our goals will be shallow. It will be unproductive, because most of the times the mind will bring, Henry was talking about appetite. Most of the times the mind frame will bring into our work. Most of the times it does not really help our work, because, for instance, when you want to learn a skill, you can invest in fact, you can follow a disciplined regiment, you can follow a routine, but once you lack the presence of mind to really focus on the moment, most of the times our work will be very slow. For instance, now, I've spent the last 4 years writing one book without much progress. The work has been very slow, and then the material was very shallow. But within the time frame where I shut down from phone usage in 3 months, I've made more progress than I've made in the last 4 years. It is the entire concept of deep work, having the presence of mind, the focus. But most of the times we are so much as our mind is fragmented, our mind is seriously distracted. There's this concept that they say it takes 10,000 hours to master any skill. But then the new research says usually it only takes 20 hours to master it to an average level. So most of the times you don't need 10 years, you just need 20 hours. But most of the times to invest, it is possible that you can spend the entire year without investing 20 hours of intense practice. Intense by this, without distraction. Most of the times when we are trying to achieve our goals, we're always jumping into our phones, and it shows in the level of our work. we don't have that flow. We don't enter into that depth. There's no depth to our work. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. For instance, now, there's no skill that you can't learn with 20 hours. But it is possible that you can spend the entire year, all your practice session is shallow. And it does not matter how long the practice is. Even if you spend 10,000 hours, someone that spent 20 hours will get more out of it with deep work. So one of the things I want to advise you is not so much the time you put into maybe your goals, whether it's learning goals, whether it's learning a skill, whether it's training skills. But I want you to make a plan around making your schedules count. I don't know whether you're getting what I'm saying. Please, is there a response? I will, when I talk, I will love response. But the idea is, instead of, you can make a plan that you'll be doing something daily. But depth is more important than just fulfilling the activity. Because when you think about goal setting, you're thinking about how you can fulfill the routine. But the routine is not as important as the presence of mind to really focus and give your attention without distraction. Because most of the times you're always checking for message that is coming in. We're always on social media. But the problem is, in itself, it is possible that you can keep undistracted time. But when you spend most of your time on social media or on distractions, the truth is, even if you that separated time, you won't have the full presence of mind to do deep work. Most of the times, even if you create time, when you're the majority of your day. So the concept I'm trying to teach is that what you do outside your planned time is more important than what you do in your planned time. So let's say you set 1 hour towards your goal every day. If you spend the entire, let's say, 23 hours distracting yourself and putting your mind in a fragmented way of life, even when you come to exercise that goal, whether it is writing, most of the times it is going to be very shallow. So one of the challenges I'm throwing at you is that entering this new year, see your entire year as instrumental to those few moments you'll be spending in exercise. For instance, now, even the way we do exercise, today, the truth, this time invested, let's say 2 people can be doing 1 hour, but they're not doing the same thing. To really achieve anything, it takes concentration of mind and focus to really learn anything critical. But most of the times, I personally believe that one of the biggest African problems is that we do not practice deep work. Most of what we do is very shallow from the way we think. So you can be spending time doing a marketing plan, but if you do not have the presence of mind to really, because today, okay, the entire idea I'm saying is that don't be too in. I'm sorry, a call came through. Am I back?
Yes, you are on.
Okay, yeah. Don't be too simple. You know, one of another word for someone that is too simple is a fool. That's why simpleton. Sometimes our simplicity on how we attract achieve how we focus on our goals sometimes is too simple. But I'm not glorifying complexity. Simplicity of action is a virtue, but simplicity of thought is not. Any great work comes from deep thought. I think Sam Adeyemi, what I was saying, deep work is a result of deep thought. But when our mind is always fragmented by social media, I tell you that it does not matter even if you are doing it on your free time. It affects the let's say your focus time, the time that you allocate for your deep work. So for instance, let me just give you a practical example. One of the things I'm planning on working on towards the new year is to write 2 books. And 2 books. This is something that I've spent the last 4 years trying to finish one, which I'm almost done. But I'm trying to write 2 new books. And what is the most productive things I can do to achieve this goal? It might simply be setting out quality time. The emphasis is quality time. Even if I spend 6 hours every day, which is almost like impossible, even if I spend 6 hours trying to keep that time for writing, once I spend most of my the time of the day always on social media, always jumping from this to that, even if I go, the amount of work I'll bring out is very shallow. But if even in my leisure time, I fragment and I organize my day, that even my leisure time, I will spend it in quality ways. I'm not always going, if I want to spend leisure, I will simply, in fact, because I'm already setting, then I want to learn maybe the keyboard, I'm already learning a language. This is how I will spend my leisure time. So that when I come to write, there is going to be depth of work. It pains me when I talk about these things because there is hardly one African author that I've read and I've enjoyed. I'm talking about novels when it comes to people that write about business and productivity. Most of the African books I read are very unproductive. It is not because we are lower than our Western counterparts, but it's probably simply because they invest more time. Most of the people that bring out quality books that is internationally recognized and accepted is because sometimes they stay away from social media, most of these people that you see. And just because something has little value does not necessarily mean that you must engage in it. You know how they talk about the Pareto principle, that 20% of what we do contributes to the 80% of the result we get. Why don't you remove all the distractions? Say if you are going to spend 30 minutes doing exercise, don't even allow your mind to be distracted, because sometimes they say even in the exercise, that's why I say don't be too simple in these things. There are little things that can give you a lot of progress. It is possible that you can be doing exercise 1 hour every day, and still at the end of the year you will not get the results you want because you are doing it on a shallow level. People that want to explore the depth of exercise will consider will factor into things like the calories they take every day, the type of exercise, whether you want to build muscle, whether you want to reduce weight. There are details to these things. And most of the times, if you do it rough-handedly or just randomly, you won't get the result you want. So this new year, as you approach your goals, I want to throw it to you that put deep work into it. Let there be quality to your work. Emphasize quality over quantity. Because someone can do 10% of what you are doing and still get more result than you because they put depth and focus to what they do. So it is possible that you can keep a routine but not get the desired result. So even for selling, you can easily say you want to jump into selling and then you go with your assumption and just do rough work and you not even get the result you want. You might be putting in more time, but the depth of the work is more important than the quantity of the work. Going to this, I don't know what your goal is. Whether sometimes you might even have a professional goal. The amount of distraction, focus on, make plans, make goals for your free time as much as you make goals for your work time. How you spend your free time affects the productivity you show even in the pursuit of your goals. So if there are unproductive things around your life, use it to shed it. And you see, this type of thinking is what makes that even at the end of the year, you are not just focused on outcomes, but you are focused on growth. Because most of the times, if you are just focused on the activity, you will be jumping into different things, and then at the end, it does not contribute to you. That's why I'm saying see 2024 as an investment for the long-term vision. The best way you can invest the year is that let your goals lead to growth, not just activity. Let your goals, let it work on you too as much as you work on them. So if you are writing, let there be a change in you. But if you are doing it superficially, it is possible that you can get a mediocre work done, and at the end, you are the same quality of person. But when you invest in depth, in focus, when you set a goal, you are focused about how you spend your other times and how it affects the time you are spending on your goal. For me, if I spend the entire day on social media, the quality of my writing is very poor. But when I remove all the noises, in fact, sometimes there is this quote, fellowship with empty souls, empty the soul. Sometimes we bring necessary energy. And then when we try to focus on the real time or the real work, most of the times it shows in our work. So invest this year in depth of work in such a way that you're not just investing it for the long term, but through the depth of the work, you are growing personally. It is possible to be in the same place for the entire year. You're just doing the same activity, but let that be a growth. Let that be a change in even what you do. If you are writing, let that be improvement in your writing. If you are a lawyer, let that be improvement in the quality of the work you put in, even in your mental reasoning, because you are putting depth to it. You are present. You have control over your mind, because the mind is the main instrument to which we execute our goals. But when there's a lot of distraction, depth of work, depth. So, for instance, now if you ask me what my goals are for 2023, there are not too many. They are very few because I understand where the next year fits in my entire life. I'm not trying to achieve what I'm supposed to achieve in 10 years. No, I understand where next year fits in, the kind of progress I'm going to make. So when I start the year, in fact, I want to take probably a 3-month retreat where I'll be without distraction to put work done. So if I see someone doing something, I'm not distracted by what another person is doing. I'm not distracted by their goals. I have a focus on what I'm doing, where I'm going. Because most of the times, if I ask what your goals are, you are trying to do what everybody is doing, but that's not what you need. What the outcome of what you are looking for is very different from what another person is looking for. Some of you are setting goals for um maybe let's say making millions of dollars or thousands of dollars in 2024. But as much as it is a valid goal,
That's a good
2024,
question.
if you are just starting your journey into wealth creation, you should probably be invested in building knowledge and learning the
Yes, it
skills
is.
instead of just jumping into the money. You can, if it's possible, say demarcate the year. So if you are just starting your journey, maybe you want to start learning forex. Instead of, you should be realistic in such a say that okay, maybe you are targeting profits by the middle of the year, but the first 6 months you're going to invest it into learning, into understanding the systems instead of just jogging from the beginning. So you can fragment your year even in seasons. You can say, okay, the first 3 months, maybe this is where I will do most of the work. It does not have to be a the same routine every day. Depth of work, approaching your goals with depth will benefit you long time and to give you more results than just focusing on the activity. It is possible that you can be keeping the hours that you're supposed to keep, but you're not getting work done. Or even if you're getting the work done, it is slow and it is shallow. But whatever goal you are making, make a decision that your goals will be, you are going to give, you are going to be present, and they are not going to allow what you do outside the hours of your goals to affect that hour that you're putting into your goals. It is very important. If you are going into this year, what is it that affects you? Most of the times, this social media thing. I don't know why it was emphasized, and I'm still emphasizing it. It is not protected, at least at the level that most people are. But even people that have gone very far, you understand the role social media play. And you can say, no, it helps me, it has this benefit, it has this benefit. But if you look at the benefits, it's not the way it takes away from you is more than what it gives. So focus on the depth of work. Focus that your goals will contribute to your long-term goals, and much more as you're working on your goals, let it also work on you. As you're approaching 2024, sit down first of all before you even start putting goals, you start putting targets. Ask yourself, where do I want to be long time? Those things I want for next year, do they contribute to my long-term vision? So for some people might see that your 2024 is very slow, but you know that you are working towards a goal. That's strategic thinking. You are not just focused on the outcome of just a year, but you're working towards a long-term goal, even when you sacrifice some short-term benefits. That's strategic thinking. If, for instance, now, okay, I have a strategy for my life and I'm following it. It does not matter what people around me are doing. I know where I want to be long time, and I'm focused on working on the short-term goal to contribute to my long-term goal. More emphasis again, when you're working on your goals, focus on depth. Focus that you make the time count. It is possible, I don't want you to forget this. It is possible to spend 10 times more hours than another person, but they will get more done because they put presence of mind and depth into what they do. Don't produce shallow results just because you think you are following your goal, but let your result not be shallow. Put depth to it. In that way, you yourself will grow and you will achieve more. If you focus on the 20% instead of just too much activities, focus on the little that gives you the biggest result. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. This is just, I believe, this is one of the tips that can make the biggest difference for you. This person would have talked about many things, but they are not relevant. I don't believe that. Of course, each one matters, but sometimes 10 times result 10 times result is not a result of 10 times effort. Can simply be little changes. Someone might be earning 10 times more than you, not because they know 10 times more than you, but because they know something very little that makes the biggest difference. And I believe this can be something that can make the biggest difference for you. You don't, Sometimes we are focusing on business activity. Activity is not what will give you results. It is doing things the right way. That is why depth, focus on depth. Don't do shallow work. Don't approach your goals shallow. Don't approach your goals on periphery. No, go deep. If you want to learn something, it's possible that you can be learning a language for 10 years and you'll still not be proficient. But people that focus, they can learn a language in 6 months because they are focused on, first of all, that 6 months. They are putting depth into it. They are approaching their goal undistracted. They plan their entire life in such a way that 6 months, that hour they will be spending in learning a language benefits them, as in it gets work done. I've been learning Spanish for the last maybe probably 5 years, and I'm still average. I'm not even good at Spanish, but I'm making a decision that this year I'm going to put depth into it. That when I sit down, I will enter into flow. I will focus. I will not be distracted by. I will not allow before I start practice. In fact, I will find a time, maybe early morning after my quiet time, probably jump into it. Don't be distracted by activity. Be focused on depth. Remember, 10 times productivity is not a result of 10 times effort. It can simply be little changes that give you 10 times result. It can be little changes. And I believe that depth is the little change that can give you the greatest result when it comes to achieving your goal. Thank you very much. And I hope that what we've spoken about contributes to your goals. Depth. Don't be focused in the rat race. You are doing the same thing on a shallow level and you're not achieving. Even if you are making progress, you are making slow progress. No, time is very short. Don't waste your days just doing things and then you're getting little out of it. Get the most out of your time. You can spend 1 hour doing nothing. I tell you, maybe you say you can be keeping 1 hour every day, but always you're jumping to your phone, or even when you come to work, you're not getting work done because you're doing it on a shallow level. That's why I'm recommending the book Deep Work. I think that's the name. Let it teach you how to focus and get things done within a short time that you need. You can learn anything within 20 hours. 20 hours is less than a day. But of course, it doesn't have to be in a day. You can divide it maybe in 20 days. In less than a month, you can learn any skill as long as you can spend 1 hour only doing deep work. You can learn more than someone that spent 5 years doing shallow work. Let this motivate your goals and how you execute it. Thank you very much for your time. I think I'll be here if there will be a session for questions. But thank you very much for being here. Do deep work. It will be the biggest difference maker for you. Thank you. Thank you, Jude, for this opportunity. And I really learned a lot from you. These people are my brothers, and I'm glad that we're doing this together. This session, I hope that you've picked something. Don't be distracted by quantity. Don't be distracted by activity, by business. Be focused on depth. Be focused. Be mindful of what you do. Don't allow what you do outside your work hours affect the quality of work you put out. Thank you very much. I think over to you, Sir Jude.
Awesome. Thank you, Manasseh, for this insightful, mind-blowing education session of yours. I will always appreciate you, and personally, you always challenge me to action. So, just a little recap, beginning from what Henry presented earlier to this point, for those of us who might have joined along the way. Note also that this session is being recorded and will be uploaded, and we're also live on YouTube. You can inform others who may not have been able to join us here on Zoom to follow my personal channel, Jude Ayua. So Henry started by talking about the 3 C's, and what he emphasized mostly is control. Controlling your words, controlling your appetites. And all base is boiling down to discipline, personal discipline, self-discipline. And Manasseh took it further by talking about focus, which is doing deep work, and also deep work being a product of deep thoughts. So if you are thinking shallowly, you will also work shallowly, and the result will also be shallow. Okay. So I wanted to also comment on Manasseh's emphasis on social media. Mind you, he was in no way condemning the use of social media. he was not in any way blaming anyone for not being productive because of social media. I believe earnestly that if you are using social media, you should have an intention for why you are there at the time you are there and what you're doing, what you hope to achieve with it. For me, I've achieved a lot from social media, and this program also, this event we're having, it's as a result of social media that you are here. So it is one of these things, one of these opportunities you can get on social media. What he's saying is that you should have a time for everything. And when you are there, there should be a particular focus and an aim you wish to achieve for being there. Okay. So we are going into questions. We have the next 15 minutes for questions. You can feel free to um, raise your hand, and then when I identify you, you unmute and ask your question. If you don't want to speak, you can simply drop it in the chat. So we're going to have session now, questions. Now, after these questions, I'm going to give a final presentation, which will be on some practical steps to write down your goals, and then we'll round up. So any questions? So while okay, so this question is to Henry. The question has dropped here from David the Gold. It goes, how can one practically control and channel his appetites? Henry, did you get the question?
Oh, yes, I did. Okay, how can one practically channel? Like I said earlier, when you use the word channel, it means you're focusing. Focusing. The truth is, we are all passionate about something. We are all desirous or longing to do something. And appetites grow because they are fed. It's just like nothing grows that is not fed or taken care of. And that's how appetites grow. How do you channel this appetite? The first thing you must do is to identify them first. In fact, I know for someone who might have listened, you never knew that this watching of movies or some of the things that we categorize as appetite, you never felt them as appetite. For you, it's just something that is normal, something you just do. But most times, a thing that is an appetite oftentimes comes like just a strong desire, just one the way we desire food when we are hungry. So somebody will just desire, oh, I just want to watch this movie, I just want to do this thing, I just want to drink this, I just want to do this, I just want to do that. So before you can channel them first, identify them. What are these appetites you have? Identify them. And secondly, you must also, on the other side, identify what you really want to achieve. These appetites you have and looking at what you want to achieve, putting them side by side. Which of these appetites will help you in achieving one of these goals? Yes, you may feel it's a bit difficult to just stop it immediately or say, no, I'm not doing it anymore. Look at them. Which one will assist me in achieving this goal? If the appetite, for example, is a passion you have for, let's say, betting, and it costs them a lot of money for many, for some is a passion. Your appetite is for betting. And look at what your goals are. Your goal is to achieve financial discipline and financial independence. Every time you have the desire to do that betting you want to do, look at it. Okay, this is what I want to achieve. I want to achieve financial discipline and financial independence. Do you know that if you bring them side by side every time this appetite comes. Your body will tell you that no, this is what we should do. Most times, one of the reasons why our appetites keep getting the upper hand is because at the time they are rising up, the opposite of it, which should be for advantage, is nowhere to be found. So until you can identify them both and put them side by side and look at which is more priority, which one is better for your life and your destiny, what will happen is that it will keep pulling you bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit until you go. But as long as you keep it in your face that, okay, I know that I have this appetite, but this is what I want to achieve. Every time you feel the desire for it, you bring it up. Another quick example as I round up answering this question, another quick example is a person who, for example, is working on his weight, wants to trim up or wants to get in shape. And the person knows that there's a particular kind of food or meal that the person loves so much that is the main reason for those additional weights he or she is gaining. What the person will simply do in those instances is every time the desire for the food comes up, okay, show, bring it up, remind yourself, remind your body, remind your stomach, remind your taste buds that okay, this is our goal. By doing that, you realize that all the energy is converted positively. It's like a conversion of energy from the other side to this other side. But as long as there's nothing on the right side, it's all you have is on the left side, which is the appetite. The place of the right will keep suffering because you don't put anything there. But as long as your desires remain in your face, channeling your appetites will get easier. It may not be easy. It's not always easy. I cannot say it's easy for any of us. But if you put what your goal is on your face every time, keep it as the pointer every time, you realize that you keep pushing the energy to the positive side. And with time, you realize that you have overcome those strong appetites and desires.
Well, thank you. David gives a thumbs up if that was helpful. And in essence, it's talking about first identifying it and then controlling and channeling. So you have to be self-conscious. Thanks. And another question comes from Moses Tosa. He's directing it at describe. Says, how can one measure his growth and progress towards his goal? That's the first question. And the second question is, what strategies can one use to keep moving during times of setback? Manasseh, did you get those questions? They're also in the chat.
Okay, yeah, I think I can see them. Okay, so how can one measure his growth and progress towards his goal? Well, each one is different. Most of the times there are external indicators, but then there's also the internal one. Like I said, if you know where the goals fit into your bigger picture, it is easier to say, okay, if I achieve this, this can be the result. But most of the times there are external factors. You can get feedback from other people. For instance, now, there are some that the feedback is very direct. If you're exercising, if your goal is to lose weight, there's a what do they call it? I think this measuring thing that you can always check how much you're burning every day. I think this one is very direct. If you want to check progress in your sales program, of course, how many people buy in can be an indicator. And sometimes, let's say before now, usually send if you talk to 10 people, you only sell to one. It is possible that one of the ways you will see progress is that you are able to convert more. If before you convert 1% of 10 people that you market to or you try to sell to, if you can sell two, or maybe if you upgrade to 3 out of 10 people, it shows that you are making progress. Or the progress can come in the area of quantity. Maybe you prospect to 20 people and you get to. So sometimes some of them have direct ways to measure it. And then you can always ask someone else, okay, is this making progress? And I don't want you to focus on feedbacks that do not matter. Sometimes, especially on social media, you are tempted to check how well you are doing based on how many people like or comment on what you are doing. No, there are some feedbacks that do not matter. Getting the work done is more important, at least based on. That's why I say sometimes the metrics is internal. You know what you are doing long term. For instance, now, one of the reasons when we spend in our organization, School of Entrepreneurs, we spend a lot of money organizing seminars and programs, but it plays a long-term strategic role. I mean, in the investment field, I believe that as little investment in this thing is, even if people do not pay long short time, is giving me the public personnel I need to access the bigger fish. There are certain those that if you do not have any public personnel, it will be hard for you to access. But so sometimes you know the metrics you are looking for, and sometimes it's just plain direct. If you are making progress in your exercise program, you should reduce in weight. It should also show in the meter. And the strategies too, that you can use to keep moving during times of setback. Well, one, it can be one of the things, find inspiration always. There are times that, see, they are up and down in life. Inspiration can be one of the ways that can keep you going even during setbacks. Finding daily inspiration, and then sometimes is keeping the vision. Keeping focus on the vision can help you move even when you have setback. So most of the times, if you understand that you are going towards a long time goal, you'll be more willing to accept short time setbacks, short time failure. You understand that you are going somewhere. And in fact, I think one of the best mental shift that you can experience that will help you move forward even during setback is telling yourself, reminding and convincing yourself that setback is part of the journey. It is not an end. It might be a redirection, but you have not failed. It is not really a setback until you allow it to stop you. So if you experience this, and first of all, tell yourself that it's part of the process. Find inspirations daily. It can be from the circle of people you keep around you. It can be from the story of people that inspire you. This can be where you can, but then keeping the vision open that any temporal setback is not worth sacrificing the long-term vision and keep on moving. And then that's why we keep learning. And there are so many strategies that you can go. But I think basically, if you have inspiration, if you have focus on the long-term vision, and you remind yourself that it's just part of the journey, it is not a definition of where you end. I think it's easier to keep making progress. I think because of time, let me just stop here.
Thank you. Moses, can you give a thumbs up? That was okay. And then I would also add that for setbacks, always try to live in the present. All right, live in the present, and your eyes may be so fixed on your goal that sometimes you forget to be alive first to reach there. So even if setbacks come, what's the most thing you should always appreciate? Well, I'm alive. I can still try again. Okay.
Mm.
So there's a question also for you, Manasseh. But before since you have just finished answering this one, we should go to the other question that relates to Henry's presentation, which is, what is the possibility of having appetite for something genuine, something good, but that still affects one's growth?
Okay, so I'll start with Ed Cole said that balance is the key to life. Balance is the key to life. The truth is, there are appetites that oftentimes as we grow, especially we that are go-getters who desire to achieve so much. We have a strong appetite and passion for results, to get things done, to ensure that, okay, this must be done. I must hit this goal. I must achieve this. I must do that. I must become this. Sometimes it's quite genuine. It's good, but it could be at the expense of a lot. For many, some of these strong appetites and desires come at the expense of their families. Some, it comes at the expense of their health. Some, at the expense of relationships that could be crucial for their well-being. But what we should understand is there has to be a balance to everything we do. Just the way you know that as you're living, no matter how passionate you are about work, there must be a time you stand up, you go and eat, you refresh, you do other things. So also there must be balance. So like I said, balance is the key to life. You may have these good appetites to get things done, to be a go-getter, to do a lot of stuff. But one thing we must not lose sight of is that we remain balanced. And why is it crucial to remain balanced? Sometimes something may seem so important now, but in the long run, or you progress in life, you realize that there are some other important things that you left behind. So let it not be, it's just like a person who is so much desirous of becoming a professor. Yes, it's good, you're giving it your best, doing all the work, getting everything done. But at the same time, you realize that your mental health is important. So you don't lose sight of having friends around, having relationships around that will aid your progress and also build you. So genuine good appetites can cause trouble if you don't put in the balance. Let's ensure that in all we do, there's balance. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Yes, great. Thank you so much, Henry. And I want to give you two illustrations just to substantiate this point. Yeah, David, you can drop your question. Um, let me give you two instances to substantiate this point. The underlying principle is that the right thing done at the right time is it becomes wrong. So the right thing done at the right time, sorry, the right thing done at the wrong time is also wrong. Just imagine, even if you plan to be a practicing lawyer, you want to be a legal practitioner, and then before you go to law school and you're admitted to any bar, you just put on your wig and gown and just show up at the court to defend a case. They'll probably throw you in jail immediately when they catch you doing that. Okay, so that's a good appetite. You want to advocate for the justice of people, and yet you're not yet qualified. It's a good appetite, right? So how will that affect you? Instead of the time that you'd have used in studying and building the capacity to become a lawyer, you used it to go and show off. And then if you are sentenced to how many years, for example, in prison, how will that affect your eventually getting to that point? Another illustration is, think about a child who is only 10 years old and wants to help their parents. It is good to help your parents, right? But if that person wants to help, for instance, financially, and they don't have the capacity, and they go to steal, it's a good thing they want to help their parents, but what if they stole? Like, is it a good thing to steal? No. So also doing um the right thing the wrong way, not only the wrong time, matters. So these are just illustrations. Manasseh, so there are two last questions which you can respond to at the same time. I will advise that if you are able to, please use only 3 minutes to respond to these two questions so as to be on time. First is, what are the practical steps to commit to deep work? And the second is talking about growth and goals. It says, how can one bring a balance to the two, being growth driven and also goal driven? Being growth driven and goal driven. How can you bring a balance to the two? So, Manas, practical steps to deep work and striking a balance between growth and goal.
All right,
Three
guys. I will
minutes.
try. Yeah, I will try to keep it within that time. So, practical steps, to deep work. I think the first thing I will say, which I won't explain much, is invest. And first of all, you must be convinced in the benefit of deep work. Like I said, if you understand that through deep work, you can achieve 10 times the result of someone who is putting 10 times the effort, but without necessarily putting um, maybe even half of what you are putting in your effort, you will get more results. So I believe it's going to be easier to remain consistent when you are convinced that deep work matters more. In fact, it can be the difference between achieving your goal on a shorter time, far lesser than maybe when you do it on a shallow level. That's the first. Be convinced that deep work matters. But then the second I would say is sometimes one of the major tools through which we engage in deep work is the mind. So we must take control over our mind. Most of the times we are not in control of our mind. Most of our activities is automated or is being choked up by the noise around. One way you can train your mind is through meditation, building meditation as a normal habit. Protecting the mind. This might make you go on the journey of learning how to control your mind, how to build your mind, how to take charge of your mind again. So focus on building your mind. Can be through meditation, it can be through study. I think it will help. But then lastly, one recommendation I will give is general personal growth. I believe the more we mature, the more we give value to most of these things. So I believe general personal growth can really help you do deep work more than someone that maybe the mind is empty anyway. But I think personal growth helps in total. And then for the second question, how can you balance the two? I do believe that even growth, being growth driven, can be a goal. So maybe you don't have to isolate it. Growth can be a goal. That's why I say sometimes in some phases of your life, the goal should even be about growth, not even about achieving results. It's about growing who you are. It's be more strategic. So I believe if you're in the stage where you're focusing on growth, it's not a bad thing. If you know where you want to be in the future, you can focus on growth-driven goals, and then later on you can focus on outcomes. And then on the other way again, I believe that even in pursuing growth, even in pursuing growth, um, you can learn. And like I say, first of all, do the growth, and then it's easier to achieve the goals even when you start setting them. But there was a year that I decided not to make a goal to see how it goes, how it will go. I just said I would achieve, in quote, I'll be spirit led. As things come, I will face it. And it's one of the most productive years I faced. Maybe one advice I'll give you before you learn how to build strategic goals is that whatever your hands find to do, do it well. You can just move even if you don't have specific goals, which I don't advise to. But then if you are finding it hard achieving specific goals, as you move and you set maybe short-term targets, I would advise that you put your entire mind into it. But there's nothing wrong in having the long-term growth, long-term goals. I think I'll stop here because of the time limit. I'm sorry, I think I exceeded the 3 minutes, but I hope you find this useful.
You are right on time. Thank you. Okay. So, David, I hope that was helpful. Now, can you see my screen? I'm just going to run through this. This is a slide from 2 or 3 years ago? And I'm just going to do this, the very practical aspect. This was, 3 years ago. So we're talking about setting goals. And I'm just going to be as fast as possible. But before I delve into this slide itself, I just wanted to say other very important things. I always emphasize live on purpose. Live on purpose. Don't just live. If you're living on purpose, then achieving your goals will be easier. There should be nothing you do without a purpose. Otherwise, it is a waste. Our years on earth are very short. So, and also we do not know when we'll breathe our last. So each day that you wake up, what do you determine to live for? Do you just focus on one thing and forget the rest of your life? That is why in setting your goals, it is also advisable that it should be all-encompassing. Set goals that cut across all aspects of your life, such as spiritual, which is the very first thing I will always emphasize. Your spirituality determines everything. And as you are living, live to make a meaning in the life of other people. Don't just set goals that will affect your life alone. We live in relationship. We thrive in relationship. You relate with people, interact even with non-living things. So how will your goals impact other people? And I'll start with the why of goals. Why is that if you set goals, they motivate you, they make you proactive, they make you focused, then you can measure your effectiveness and also control your activities. If you don't have all of this, it is difficult to just answer the to just like achieve those goals. And the second thing is if you are setting goals, consider what your long-term purpose in life is, what your specific assignment is, and then what is the mission and vision of you setting those goals, and specifically why do you want to set it. For example, are you setting this to just show up that, okay, I want to achieve something this year? Okay, I'm setting it because if I don't have goals, it will be as if I do not belong. Every other person has goals and I don't. And then your values, what are your values? You will not set goals that contradict your values. And then your capacity, which is something we discussed extensively today. And all of what both speakers shared earlier centered on self-discipline. Do you have the capacity to pursue these goals? And then I'm going to ask this question, which I'll respond to later. Do you think any goal at all is unachievable or too elusive? Now, that will depend on certain factors, but I will also tell you that no goal is unachievable if you have the capacity and you set your mind to do it, okay? And also if it comes within the right time. These 5 questions are relevant in goal setting, which is also 5 relevant questions about life. Why, when, what, where, and how. Okay. So these are the areas of goal setting that I highlighted earlier. You set personal goals, health goals, relationship goals, social goals, spiritual, academic, financial, career, business, organizational goals. You may be in an organization with people, and so what is your goal there? Now, the practicality of setting goals. I would always advise that when you are setting goals, you should be positive and not negative. For example, if there is a habit you are planning to overcome, such as wasting time on social media, do not set a goal such as to stop using social media. That is a good goal. I would advise that you replace that with something more productive, something that will counter your wasting time on social media. Okay? Or in another instance, if you want to lose weight, which is something many people are obsessed about. If you want to lose weight, rather you focus on those things that will help in your losing weight and then set them as goals. For example, exercise, moderate eating. You will set a goal such as to exercise 1 hour every day and be specific about that exercise. Don't just state it, okay? So when you do that, you are bearing in mind that the goal of this exercise is to lose weight. But then if you are focusing on that negativity to lose weight, you'll be too obsessed with it. And the goal of there is a principle, the law of attraction, that as long as your mind is set on negativity, it doesn't matter what you want to get out of from that negativity. Okay, you want to lose weight, but losing weight is too much on your mind. That is what will come to you. The weight will remain there. You will not lose it. But if you are countering it, okay, if you are countering it to exercise and keep fit, if you are keeping fit, you are not gaining unnecessary weight. So focus on the positivity. Now, some practical examples. I'll give 3 examples, although there are many. Personal goal, number 1, to increase my productivity by reading more books. If you focus on this goal, this area here, it is very, very elusive. Like, how can you increase your productivity by reading more books? How? There is no action in this. So you can now narrow it down to read 25 books this year. How will you read 25 books this year? I will read at least 2 books a month. Okay, how will you read at least 2 books a month? I'll read at least 1 chapter a day or at least 1 hour a day. Is that specific enough? If you are with me, please some thumbs up, or if you can just unmute and say something so I will know I'm not alone here. Then
Yes, we are with you.
Great. Spiritual goal number 1, to read the entire Bible this year. What's a great goal? But how do you do that? To design a Bible reading plan, for example, one book of the Bible per month or one chapter a day. Now, for me, I achieved reading the entire Bible in 2 years. It wasn't in 1 year. And I was reading 2 chapters a day, one chapter from the Old Testament, one chapter from the New Testament. And when I exhausted the New Testament, since it is shorter, I went back to the prophets. Okay, so that was how I achieved it. So you can have your own plan. That's my personal plan. Then you don't do this because it's a reading exercise. You do it because it is a spiritual endeavor. It is not a reading exercise. It is a spiritual endeavor. As much as you are reading it, you are getting knowledge and also spiritual nourishment. So you dedicate I said dedicate at least 1 hour a day to read my Bible every day, which is also achievable. Now, one last example about business. I believe we have some business people here, and we have many of the social media vendors like WhatsApp marketers and WhatsApp business catalog and everything. You just send a message, you get a response, and all of those. So if, for example, you are setting a business goal such as to add 10 products to my catalog, what will you do? You evaluate your sales for the products you already have. Also do a market evaluation if the products you want to add to your catalog are needed. And then you can also like reach out to your current customers with maybe a survey. If I bring so and so goods, will you buy? If I introduce so and so products, will you buy? And so on. So these are ways of setting goals. Now, I want to emphasize one last thing, which is a vision board. A vision board is a collage of images or words that represent your goals or wishes, and it is intended to serve as an inspiration or motivation. And what is the importance of having a vision board? It serves as a reminder, it can motivate you, and to help you focus. You can do something like this and put it on your wall in your room. As you wake up every day, just look at this vision board here. It shows write my book, say I'm aspiring for happiness, health, positivity, abundance, dream holiday in Bora Bora. I don't know where that exists. Gratitude, well-being, retreats, and so on. You wake up every day and you look at this, it registers in your mind. These things work as if it's magic, but then that is natural. Okay, so you can also have a vision board. And that is where I'm going to stop my own presentation. We're now going to a number of announcements. We'll round up in the next 4 minutes. And I have my own personal announcement, but before I do that, Manasseh, can you share your own announcements in 2 minutes? Thank you. Okay, I guess Manasseh is not ready. So I will share my own announcement whenever it's ready. Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to share my own announcements. So I have this, please ignore the dates. I have this that I want to share with you. This is a course that I run. It's called a Complete Writers course. So if you are willing to register for this, simply reach out to me. I'm going to drop my email in the chat soon. So reach out to me. It runs for only 8 weeks. My email is judeayua6@gmail.com. If you want to learn how to write, then another course is mentoring. It's called a law mentor, but it's not restricted to lawyers or law students. It It's for aspiring lawyers, as well as if you are intending to be mentored in career growth and personal development. It is not restricted to only lawyers or law aspirants. If you are interested in getting mentorship directly from me and a cohort of my friends, then you can register for this one. Simply reach out to me via email, and then I'll give you further details. Yeah, and then personal development. Okay. So that is it from me. Manasseh, are you ready for your own announcements? Otherwise, we round up.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for the time. Yeah. So I just wanted to let you know that I run a course, in three courses. First of all, is life coaching, and then the second is productivity coaching, and then executive coaching. And I'm giving, anyways, for everybody, I'm giving a 50% discount to those that are interested in joining the course. And the offer is lasting till the end of the month. If you would like to join the course, we'll be beginning maybe third week of January. And I believe it's time to truly invest in yourself, invest in change. And if you want to learn together with other people, you can join the course. It's going to be very flexible. Pre-recording sessions, you will get the chance to network. And I promise you, I think what I do is help people first of all transform themselves and discover themselves. Whatever goals you are setting, if it's not coming, it's just like Drew said, if it's not coming from a knowledge of your long-term purpose, you're just wasting life. I want you to start living, to stop existing, and then also to take charge of your mind. I think that's even what the life coaching primarily is. It's about helping you take charge of your mind instead of being automated. If you really like to know more about the course, you can ask Jude or um, reach out to me on social media, Manasseh Michelia, or if you can reach out to Jude, you can always ask for my information. I'll send you a brochure for the courses and you can reach out to me. This offer is going to last only till 31st of December. So if you like to join my coaching course, uh, please reach out. I wish you all the best. See you in class. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Manasseh. Thank you, Henry, and all participants. And one of the goals which I set in 2022 coming to 2023, I'm very happy that I achieved that goal. This is kind of a little announcement or even a big announcement to you if you did not know before. But that goal was for me to get married. And glory to God, July of this year, I got married. So um, I'm saying this to show that we share with you what our results, we share from personal experience and the results we have achieved in our lives. And so at this point, I'll be calling my beloved wife to give the closing remarks and votes of thanks. Baby, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. A huge thank you to our speakers for today's session. I got wisdom, I got value, and I'm very sure everyone got value. Thank you to the host. Though. Thank you. That's a personal thank you. So today's session has really been an amazing one. To summarize today's session, depth, discipline, and I would add one word, evaluation, which was also mentioned by one of the speakers. Now, that discipline part talks about commitment. Like, I really got value, especially when the speaker, Manasseh, talked about focusing, being present. It was something I learned when I studied counseling in my undergraduate, being present with your client. And this is something he further emphasized today, and putting that into your goals which you've planned. One of the speakers talked about, yeah, I think it was Manasseh, talking about seeing whatever you're planning as your goal for 2024 as an investment into your long term, meaning whatever you're doing in 2024, you probably will not reap the full reward. But in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, you definitely will reap the full reward. And you know what? You've gotten the wisdom and value from today's session. go on the YouTube page, share the link with someone beloved, someone you love, someone you think it would benefit. So they also get value from it. And I'm very sure they will thank you throughout next that. Oh, thank you for sharing that goal setting webinar with me. Now I make good goals and I work towards it. I'm committed to it and I'm seeing the results or the outcomes. Thank you to everyone for joining today's session. And yes, I hope you sign up for the courses and the masterclass and the mentorship that has been shared with us. And I wish you all the best into 2024. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For me, when I first started this webinar, it was like a fight with church people. I'm also a church person. I'm a Christian. I'm a very dedicated one. And it was as if before you go for Passover night, crossover night, before you go for crossover night, first attend this session. So that is why we do it ahead. So that when you get educated in this way, you go to church and your prayers will be in alignment with what you have planned, or you pray with focus that, yes, God, these are my goals for 2024. So help me. Okay. So that you don't just go and believe that before it is daybreak on 1st January 2024, you will become a millionaire. How? Okay. So that's why I said, okay, this is very important. And I hope that you got value as everyone has emphasized. Thank you once again. We have come to the end of the session this year. I wish you a prosperous 2024. Bye.